At the beginning of the film, we see a forest ranger named Jack who heads out for work as usual. But along the way, he suddenly comes under attack by arrows. He has no idea who is attacking him. To find the attackers, he takes off his jacket and moves forward cautiously. Even then, he can't figure out who it is. He starts to think that whoever it was may have already left the area. Just as he's thinking this, an arrow strikes his chest, causing him intense pain, and he collapses to the ground. He tries to pull the arrow out, but it snaps in half. To save his life, he knows he has to get out of the forest. So Jack runs toward his car, but it won't start. He wonders how that's possible since he had filled the gas tank that very morning, and he begins to suspect that this might be the work of someone who wants to kill him. However, he doesn't have time to think about it. Jack continues on foot, and on the way, he notices a car parked inside some bushes. He suspects that this might belong to the person who tried to kill him. So he marks the car and quickly returns home. Once home, he pulls the arrow out of his chest and notices that it looks very old, the kind of arrow that doesn't exist in modern times. Jack used to be a hunter, but his daughter Alina never liked that about him, so he eventually gave it up. In fact, one day while returning from somewhere with his daughter, Jack stepped out of the car to buy a few things. When he came back, his daughter was gone. 5 whole years have passed since then, but Jack is still putting up missing posters for her. To cope with the pain, he started drinking heavily, which eventually led to his wife leaving him as well. Now he lives alone and has become a forest ranger in memory of his daughter, to protect animals just as she wanted. He has installed cameras across more than half of the forest, allowing him to monitor the entire area from home. Meanwhile, we are introduced to the town's new sheriff, Elizabeth, who comes to see Police Chief Carl. She is there to get her brother Brooke released, as he was arrested at an abandoned factory in a 400 BC case. Since Elizabeth is in the police force, her brother is let go with a warning. Afterward, she asks him if he killed anyone. He replies no, saying instead that he was beaten by the people working at the factory because they found out who his sister was. Then Elizabeth gets a call about a body that was found near a riverbank, so she heads there immediately. Meanwhile, on the other side, Jack's ex-wife comes to him and tells him to go ahead with their daughter's funeral because she's about to become a mother again, and she doesn't want anything from the past to affect her unborn child. But Jack refuses to sign the papers because he feels deep down that his daughter is still alive. When his ex-wife sees him drunk, she says only that much and leaves. After that, we see all the police officers at the crime scene carefully examining the girl's body. However, they don't find any clear evidence that explains how she died. Elizabeth notices marks on the girl's neck that look quite old. Because of this, they suspect it might be a case of revenge and start searching the surrounding area. They find bloodstains there, which makes them realize that the girl had been missing for a long time and must have tried to survive, but couldn't stay alive for very long. Then Elizabeth notices an arrow stuck in a tree, so she takes it with her for forensic testing. When she later examines it at the police station, she finds a mark in the middle of the arrow, and it looks exactly like the kind of arrow Jack had mentioned before. News about identifying the girl is broadcast everywhere. When Jack sees it, he starts to wonder if the girl might be his daughter. So he goes to Elizabeth and asks to see the body. But when he sees her, he realizes she is not his daughter. Even then, Jack still believes that his daughter is alive. After Jack leaves, Elizabeth asks the doctor there about him, and the doctor tells her Jack's entire story. After hearing it, Elizabeth feels deeply saddened. The next morning, Jack finally signs the papers, meaning his daughter's funeral will now take place. Just then, he hears a warning alarm. When he checks the cameras, he sees a hunter running, not after an animal, but chasing a girl. So Jack grabs 3 boxes and a gun and rushes out. Why he does this is something we'll find out later. Jack reaches the spot where the attack had happened, but this time he comes fully prepared. He tosses a box of paint into the air and shoots it, causing the paint to splash all over the ground. This reveals the hunter, as he is now covered in red paint. Even then, Jack fails to catch him, which makes him extremely angry. After that, Jack goes to the girl the hunter was chasing. She has the same marks on her neck as the body they found earlier. Jack lifts the girl and starts carrying her away from there. On the other hand, Elizabeth takes the arrow to a man who has knowledge about it. He tells her that it is an arrow called Atlas, which was used for warfare in ancient times. Later, it was banned because it could easily take someone's life. However, there is still one man who continues to make it, and everyone calls him Sam. Hearing this, Elizabeth remembers that the factory where her brother was caught is controlled by Sam, and that he forces young boys to do illegal work there. Elizabeth returns to her room, but her brother is not there. A girl named Patty tells her something about her brother. Elizabeth then goes to that place, but she still does not find him. Instead, she finds the materials that were used to make the Atlas arrow. Just then, someone enters the house, but it turns out to be her ally, who informs her that another girl has been reported missing. And it is the same girl who was with Jack in the forest earlier. Meanwhile, Jack is exhausted from carrying the girl, so he puts her down at a spot. The girl, thinking Jack is the hunter, suddenly attacks him. Jack tries to calm her down, saying, "Stop. I'm not the one who wants to kill you. You're safe with me." At first, she refuses to believe him, but eventually Jack convinces her. After that, the two of them hide in a bunker cave that Jack himself had built to trap the hunters. Inside the bunker, Jack tries to ask the girl her name and how she ended up there, but she cannot respond. This is because her vocal cords were cut by the hunter, so she couldn't scream, making it easier for him to hunt her. The same thing had been done to the first girl as well. She had run desperately to save her life, but in the end, she was killed. Jack wasn't going to let that happen, so he reassured her with gestures, letting her know, "You're safe with me. Nothing will happen to you now." The girl started to trust him too. That's why she wrote her name on the ground, showing that her name was Molly. When morning came, Jack set off from there with Molly. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Elizabeth got a lead, but it wasn't something she liked. Molly had last been seen with a group. Elizabeth also started to suspect Jack, because the last time she saw him, he had taken some hunter's weapons and kept them for himself. It was possible that after his daughter's death, he had changed. When Jack reached his house, he sensed that someone else was there. Before he could understand what was happening, he was attacked. That meant Jack's suspicion was completely right. The one who attacked him was the same hunter who used to shoot at him with arrows. Jack was extremely tired and weak, so he couldn't hold out for long. The hunter overpowered him and shot an arrow into Molly's back, killing her. Seeing this, Jack completely broke down because he couldn't save her. Just then, Elizabeth arrived. When she got there, she saw Molly's dead body, and Jack was standing there with a gun in his hand. It looked like he was the one who had killed Molly, but behind him stood that same hunter. When the hunter saw Elizabeth, he cracked his fingers, and at that moment she realized the truth. This hunter was none other than her own younger brother, Brooke, whom she had always saved. And once again, she did what she always did. She shot Jack, giving Brooke a chance to escape. Jack understood that Elizabeth had done all this to protect her brother. That's why he used her radio to call an ambulance so they could take Molly away because she was still alive. After that, Jack drove to his ex-wife's house. Her husband worked in the police, and when they saw Jack's condition, they were shocked. They couldn't take Jack to the hospital, so Carl laid him down in a trailer parked outside the factory and called a doctor there to begin his treatment. During this time, Jack told them everything. When Carl came out of the trailer, he saw Brooke standing there with his friends, smoking. Carl ran after him to catch him, but Brooke managed to get into the trailer. He then put a knife to the doctor's throat and started threatening him. But Jack was still alive, so he grabbed the doctor's hand and freed him. As soon as that happened, Carl immediately arrested Brooke. When Elizabeth found out about this, she rushed to meet her brother, hoping she could once again pull some strings and save him. But this time, Carl refused to listen to her. He told her that she would lose her job as well. Hearing this left Elizabeth deeply shaken. After that, Brooke took them to a location where he had kept Sam imprisoned. Sam was the owner of the factory who had brutally tortured Brooke in the past. Brooke had locked him up to take revenge for everything he had suffered. This revealed that the real hunter was someone else entirely. and Elizabeth had been fooled all along. After learning the truth, they went to Sam and asked him, "Do you recognize this arrow?" But Sam denied it, saying that he never leaves any marks on his arrows. That meant someone else was responsible for all this. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Jack then changed his statement as well, which ended up saving Elizabeth's brother's life, because Jack had realized that he was not the one who did it. After everything that happened, Jack decided to start a new life. He realized that you only get one life, and it should be lived happily. But the biggest question still remains. Who is the real hunter, and will anyone ever catch him? Later, Jack went to a store to buy groceries. That's when he noticed a truck, the same one he had marked earlier. A spark of hope rose inside him, and he quickly rushed toward the truck. But there was no mark on it. Disappointed once again, he returned to his car. Just then, another truck, exactly like the one he had marked, drove past him. This time, Jack was completely sure, and he was ready to attack the driver the moment he got the chance. But an old man stepped out of the truck instead. Seeing this, Jack asked him if he had a son. The old man replied that he lived alone and that he himself was the owner of the truck. Jack lied and said that the owner of this truck had once helped him, and he just wanted to thank him. The old man then mentioned that sometimes his neighbor takes the truck. So Jack went to the neighbor's house, but it was locked. He broke the lock and entered. And from the condition of the house, it became clear that this was definitely the home of a hunter. But what he discovered next was even more horrifying. When he went down to the basement, he saw missing posters of several girls pinned to the walls, and among them was a photo of his own missing daughter. Moving further inside, he saw a girl lying on an operating table, her vocal cords removed. At that moment, Jack understood everything. Whoever was behind all of this was the owner of that house. Suddenly, Jack is attacked, and the attacker turns out to be none other than the same doctor Carl had called to treat Jack. He's revealed to be the traitor of the story. On the other side, Elizabeth comes to meet Molly, who is being treated by Dr. Worm. But at that moment, the doctor isn't there. Elizabeth then sees a photo of the doctor with his daughter. A nurse explains that many years ago, the doctor's daughter was killed after being run over by a drunk driver. Her daughter's name was Melissa. On that photo, Elizabeth notices the same logo that appeared on the arrow. Seeing this, Elizabeth understands everything. She quickly rushes to the doctor's house. The doctor isn't there, but from the things kept in his house, she realizes what's really going on. After that, she goes to Jack's house to tell him that his daughter's killer has been found. But Jack is already being hunted, and Elizabeth sees everything happening on the monitors installed in his house. Because of this, she disables all the traps set up in the forest. One of those traps catches the doctor, and before he can do anything, Jack attacks him and badly injures him. Before killing him, Jack asks, "Why did you kill my daughter?" The doctor gives a strange answer. He says that Jack, his daughter's father, was an alcoholic, and he hates people who drink because an alcoholic was responsible for his own daughter's death. That's why he takes revenge on every alcoholic he finds. Hearing this, Jack completely kills him. Just then, Elizabeth arrives and tells Jack to hand him over to the police. But Jack knows the police won't be able to do anything to him, so he says that he has to punish him himself. He throws the doctor into a ravine and ends the story once and for all. Elizabeth can't do anything either, because deep down she also knows that people like him deserve this fate. Jack removes his daughter's missing posters from all over the town because he has already held her funeral. Meanwhile, Elizabeth gets the factory demolished so that no more young lives like her brother's are ruined again. With this, the story ends here. Subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.